ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Vince Broerman.
Dude, let's go see Rush. Yeah. Steve said that to me in the spring of 1986, and I had no idea who or what Rush was, but I signed on for the adventure because he's the only friend that I had. I was 15, and Mother didn't have the chance to sabotage that relationship. She and Dad had just split. And I guess sometimes recently divorced, insecure women don't give two shits about their kids. Until that point, however, friendships were verboten. It wasn't until my adult years that I learned my purpose in life was to provide reflected glory in which she could bask. And what I mean by that is, like, when I was 5, we would go to Kings Island. And you ride the rides? Well, we did some of that, but I was put on the stage between shows and told to sing. I was like Shirley Temple. And when everybody came over afterwards, she took all the credit because she birthed me. Things got, as I grew older, things changed, but not really. I couldn't have friends. Sean couldn't come over because he looks like a rat, and we don't let rats into our house, do we? And then there was Alan, who was British, who introduced me to carrot sandwiches. Have you ever had these? See, Mom had this vague, trumped-up charge that she created, like police do when they want to arrest but have no reason, right? It's called disturbing the peace. Well, Mom's was disrespectful. They were disrespectful, and I don't want them in my house. Of course, there was never any evidence. But what can you do? Then there was Doug, who she just tickled until he refused to return. That was my life. And, just like a baby when born blind understands the concept of sight in the academic way, I was normal. I had friends. Everything was okay. The truth is, if you remember the movie Breakfast Club, I identified with that character Ali Sheedy played, the misfit. She was the one who brought the pixie stick and peanut butter sandwich, washed it down with a Coke at Saturday school detention because she had nothing better to do that day. She drew a beautiful picture of a covered bridge. She scratched her head and used dandruff as snow. You remember this? That was me in algebra class. I can't draw. Dude, let's go see Rush. Steve said that about 6 months into our friendship. His family had moved to town from Southern California. His father was hired to be preacher of the church that I attended. Was forced to attend because Mom wanted to sleep in on Sunday mornings. And I admit that I don't really remember what I had thought at the time he was introduced at youth group. But I'll give you an image, and that image is a Greek Adonis with the pimpled forehead of a teenager's acne. Because he was like 6'3", blonde, and into bodybuilding competition. He modeled himself after his hero, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was so big that when he started school, midway through his junior year, the the football coach made him a starter, though he'd never played the game. He was that big. He was a Hulk. But he loved to watch it on TV. And so if you can imagine the guy who loves to yell at the screen, you understand his intensity. That's Steve. Our friendship was rooted in ping pong. The church had bought a table, and we would play for hours, just hours, practicing our swings and our moves. And invariably, he would just always win. His hands were banana bunches. And he developed this move. It was a backhand top spin. And I'm not sure how elbows, they're not supposed to work that way, but he did, and it worked. And I get close, but he'd come back and win. And when he won, the crab came out. You guys know the crab? He'd pose. And then he'd laugh about it. And I'm like, God. So that was But what really propelled the friendship into the stratosphere was his car and driver's license. Right. It was a gray and rust Chevy Impala. 1970s. Blue, baby blue bench seat. No buckets. So you know how kids drive, right? You know, we're fighting the slide, grabbing onto the shoulder straps, right? That's the car. And we would go to parties, and girls would flock to him like moths to a lamp. And after that, we would go to the arcade. And after the arcade, we'd head back to his house. And all while we're traveling to Metallica on the cassette deck. But for him, after the arcade, he liked a game of his own creation that he called UFO, which goes something like this. It starts with cranking up the music into distortion and banging your head, Quiet Riot style. Now, mind you, we're driving. And when that happened, the car became his drum kit. And so the steering wheel he's banging on, and the drums or the crash cymbal is the dashboard. The pedals are his kicks. And he would just really get going, and we'd be driving, and it's just so loud, the music. But you knew he was in the zone when he just started punching the roof liner. And we're driving. We're driving the twisty, windy roads that you might find around Indian Hill like this. But when he got into the zone, he flipped off the headlights and turned on the dome. Windows turned into mirrors. Yeah, by the time we made it back to his house, and when I was greeted by his three-legged dog, Elliot, I'm not sure which one of us was happier to see each other. Like, I certainly would have licked Elliot. I mean. Anyway, his bedroom, right? 2 twin bunks with a big old nightstand in the middle. And I'd take the bed by the wall. He'd piss out the second floor window. Don't worry, dude, my dad took out the screen. You need to go? And I never did go, and I kind of regret that in this moment. Because I never had that opportunity again. There, dude, let's see Rush. And we did. 17,000 people. Riverfront Coliseum was at capacity. Our seats were nosebleed. And so when they turned out the lights and that wave of roars come, we were caught in an eddy of sound. I mean, it totally blanketed by goosebumps. And that lasted for about as long as it takes to pull the lighters out. And then the lighters, from where we stood, I thought I was in a midnight sky filled with sparkling stars. This is my first concert ever. I'm coming alive. But that wasn't enough, really. Because a scream for attention came from Alex Lifeson's guitar, and the entire crowd was stunned silent and attentive. A wave of light, brighter than an exploding sun, hit us next. And so now we're disarmed. And as we're disarmed, we get pumped in the chest by the kick drums. 10 million people are writhing and howling with pleasure at this time. I'm like a virgin at a blackout orgy. The pungent smells, being jostled around, the sounds of pleasure. I mean, my senses are alive. This is what it means to live. And I'm experiencing it. And so I look up at Steve, and he looks out at me, and we give each other high fives, and we're doing this to everybody around us. And I'm certain he's knocking people over, the big doofus. Just has no idea how strong he is. And he's just, and I float off into a euphoria for a little bit. But something pulled me back. And it was a sound that came from the ether, and it just had subdivisions. Oh, man. And so I slowly started to come back within myself. and then quickly realized, I'm the only one here not singing. On the wall behind the band is a video of a boy in high school at a lunchroom table by himself, yet surrounded by people. This is me in this moment. That video is me in the middle of this concert, disconnected from the world that I don't even exist in the moment if nobody recognizes me, right? And that's really profound. But I was 15, I really didn't know that then. But it was enough to really hook me to that music at that point. Anyway, 2 hours later, the concert ended, and we did our normal routine, Steve and I. We went to the arcade, then to his house. Me going, why do we have to play UFO again? You know, I hate that stupid game. And he's going, shut up, dude. I take this road every day, twice a day. I know it like the back of my hand. We were an old married couple at that point. That summer, we saw a lot of music, you know, Iron Maiden, Van Halen, Ronnie James Dio, Stryper to get the Christian rock in. But it was the night of the Judas Priest concert that I got caught shoplifting a CD from Swallens. Now, in the scheme of things, that's not a big deal. But I got grounded. I got Mom's attention, though. But I was grounded, and I called Steve and said, man, I can't do it. This is why. And he's pissed. Dude, you screw me like this. There's no way I'm bringing you a concert t-shirt. What I should have mentioned is that Swallens were church members. And I don't know how that ever came through, but that was the last time I spoke to Steve. And I might be the only person in the world that knows what he did after the concert. My guess is he was playing UFO. And they say that childhood experiences affect life choices. And so sometimes I lay in bed and wonder if I had been with him at the concert, what would have happened? Would he still be the district attorney that he is today, someplace? I know I led you to believe he died. And he did. He did. But only to me. He never spoke to me again. And I know I'll never know if that was his own decision or forced upon him by his father, the preacher. The Swallens connection. I don't know. And that's no longer really important. But that empty, hollow feeling that I'd left you with for a while, I lived with for a good long time. What's important, though, at least to me, is this. It's the music. Subdivisions is what really pulled me in. And now my son and I listened to it on the way down here, and I'm in the car singing, and he's wishing I'm not. Actually, when we got down, I said, how'd I do? And he goes, I couldn't hear you. You had it up too loud. The boy. But Subdivisions has been with me longer than any friend or lover. It's never abandoned. And for that, I'm forever grateful for Steve and to Rush and for their music. I have a memory now to share with my son on our trip down here. My son, sorry. And that's because of the music and because of Steve, and for that I'm forever grateful. For Mother, if she had gone to church, she would have been reminded the story about Adam and the golden apple, right? Because that's what Subdivisions was to me, the fruit of knowledge, and it let me free from under her thumb. And I can't thank the band enough for that.
One more time for Vince Broerman.